Go back on the fashion timeline for a look at some of yesterday's most memorable moments with the Year in Fashion 2016. In this edition of the Year in Fashion, celebrate the old and embrace the new as mainstay mega brands bring their best, while the next generation of designers make their mark and welcome diversity. Chanel Airlines is now boarding. Karl Lagerfeld redefines traveling in style for the modern woman.
Who wouldn't have imagined that you could come up with so many beautiful and elegant things based on the in-flight experience?
The House of Versace pulls out all the stops for a pivotal collection celebrating the power of women.
I think that Donatella Versace had the show of her career.
Supermodel and social media star Gigi Hadid lights up international catwalks with her enviable curves. A-listers celebrate the Metropolitan Museum of Art's latest exhibition, Manus ex Machina, on the red carpet of the glamorous Met Gala.
People always want to know what is it like to be at the Met Gala, and I'm like, well, I think it's like the next biggest red carpet to the Academy Awards.
Guo Pei, featured designer of the 2015 Met exhibition, debuts her haute couture collection.
I was very happy that there's unquestionably now in Paris a Chinese couturier.
Sophie Taylor celebrates international diversity with effortless sophistication.
It's about humans. When you look at that world, we see all the beauty of races, and that's what I stand for the love of the humanity.
Menswear takes center stage with New York's first ever Men's Fashion Week. It's a landmark celebration at Alexander Wang.
This marks the anniversary of Alexander Wang and how he kind of arrived in our lives.
And Marc Jacobs delivers a fantastical display of whimsy.
He stands alone in terms of the pinnacle of the creative geniuses of his time.
All this and more in the Year in Fashion 2016.
Chanel is the most fun show to see of the week. Going into an airport is the funniest thing because you take a bunch of people that are not really good at an airport, fashion people, and then you bring them into this place and they actually have a really good time.
Finally, a new version of how to travel in style. I mean, I think everyone is a little tired of seeing everyone show up at the airport in sweatpants and shorts these days, and flip-flops. So hopefully Karl will give us a more elegant message for how to travel today.
I never find it interesting to go to the airport, but it was that way this morning. So who wouldn't have imagined that you could come up with so many beautiful and elegant things based on the in-flight experience?
It always blows my mind every time. I can't believe, how much effort goes into the detail of it. There's a shopping trolley. It's incredible. I really love the hats. I find it very hard to find a good hat because I have a tiny little head. And they were very delicate and light and summery, and I loved them.
I thought there were a lot of colors and very unique things. Very different from the rest of the fashion world. Very special, very unique, very, very much Karl.
This was a phenomenal collection. He played with retro prints. He played with tweed. He played with texture. He gave us jackets of every color and every texture without ever losing the Chanel style. For evening, it was a lot of metallics, these little jackets, silver, and they look like tweed with the little bows as the buttons.
I think it was really fantastic, really, really beautiful, lively and inspiring. And the skirt above the trousers, they're really cool and modern and stunning.
luggage, sparkling, bejeweled luggage, a lot of the tweeds and a lot of the sporty looks, almost the greatest hits of the last few seasons. And of course it was very touching to see Cara Delevingne and the little boy walking at the end with Karl Lagerfeld.
In Milan, at the massive City Life Palace, the Versace Spring-Summer 2016 collection easily took control of the enormous venue as Donatella hailed to the power of today's woman.
Versace was strong. That was like Versace with a capital V. It was from every vantage point, the big space, the top girls, and then just the clothes were really beautiful. The day clothes were beautiful.
I think that Donatella Versace had the show of her career almost. This epic new space and clothes that really ran the gamut from the kind of thing you expect from her, the sexy little dress or the gown with the thigh-high slit, to, for my money, the best tailoring of the week.
It was super. I mean, to have a grand scale show like this again really reaffirms her power in Italian fashion. This collection was extremely strong about the power of women, starting out with a militaristic theme, camouflage, and ending with those great soft dresses. You really encompass a range of ideas about femininity and strength.
I loved it. It actually was a return to old school power woman Versace. I think everyone left that show A, wanting to go out and party all night, and then B, thinking like, I am an empowered, confident woman.
This was a terrific season for her. That whole strong woman thing that she did, there was a kind of combat theme with the fatigue looks to stuff was strong. It was an uplifting thing. And then when Donatella came out and she was wearing her own collection, she looked great in those loose slacks. I just thought she is that woman too. I loved it.
With her dangerous curves, piercing eyes, and doll-like face, Gigi Hadid has captivated designers and charmed fashion fans the world over. The California girl got her start in front of the camera at the tender age of 2, when she began modeling for baby guests. Gigi had clearly grown up a lot by the time she made her Sports Illustrated debut as Rookie of the Year in 2014. With a Maybelline Cosmetics campaign and a design collaboration with Tommy Hilfiger in her back pocket, the 20-year-old's career just keeps getting hotter. With fellow model, little sister Bella by her side, Gigi is a superstar with supermodel status in her future.
Comes through in the set because we want to actually allow people to experience the idea of being there. We like to transport people to a different world in our show. The collection is really about a transatlantic voyage. It's about modern nautical. It's about mixing modern with vintage. It's about a sense of humor, new shapes, very high-waisted trousers, wide legs, jumpsuits, shearling jackets, short skirts, long skirts, a lot of stripes, and a lot of great detail.
It was so much fun. That was such a fun show. I was kind of bummed it ended. It kind of woke me up. I was very tired, and I came in listening to Michael Jackson, watching Tommy on a boat. It was awesome. I love it. One of my favorites. So much fun.
Gigi Hadid is our #1 model. We just did a collaboration with her. We're doing a whole line, Gigi by Tommy Hilfiger, which will launch in the fall. She's the epitome of the perfect girl. She's from Southern California. She's got great style. She's a nice person. She's very healthy. She's very intelligent. She's like the epitome of a supergirl of today, and not just a supermodel, but a super person.
The red carpet was aglow with flashbulbs as A-listers made their way up the iconic steps of the Metropolitan Museum of Art to the 2016 Met Gala.
People always want to know what is it like to be at the Met Gala, and I'm like, well, I think it's like the next biggest red carpet to the Academy Awards.
I'm very honored to be here with Miss Bette Midler tonight.
I feel very much like I'm keeping in with the theme because it's
Yes.
this is handmade.
Right.
You know, and these are handmade. And
But
this
there's
is
still a good
handmade.
techie, like mechanical
Well, it has
spirit
gears.
to it.
It has gears.
Each flower has an LED chip. Then all of the beading you see underneath all the wires that are hidden. So it really looks beautiful and it's comfortable at the same time. And I got to go.
The show's called Manus Ex Machina, and it looks at how designers are reconciling the handmade and the machine-made in their design practice. And also it attempts to sort of challenge some of the assumptions, some of the associations that the hand and the machine has, not just in fashion, but in the arts in general.
For their 2016 spring exhibition, the Metropolitan Museum of Art's Costume Institute placed the spotlight on technique and technology in fashion and how the two intertwine.
Often the hand is seen as something that is about luxury and individuality, and the machine is seen as something that's about inferiority and mediocrity, and vice versa. The hand's often seen as elitist and about nostalgia, and the machine about progress in the future. So it's sort of trying to debunk some of those mythologies. But more than that, showing how designers are engaging with the shared practice of the hand and the machine. So there's very few examples of fashion in the exhibition that are exclusively handmade or exclusively machine-made. Often there's a synthesis of the two. Well, this is one of my favorite pieces. It was one of the main inspirations for the exhibition. It's by Karl Lagerfeld for Chanel from his Couture 2014 collection. And what's amazing about it is it's the perfect case study between the hand and the machine. So the train that you see here, it was originally sketched by hand by Karl, then transferred onto a computer to create a sort of pixelated Baroque pattern. And then the actual embroidery, first of all, the rhinestones were heat transfer, so machine applied to the train, and then hand painted in gold pigment, and then finished with hand embroidery with gemstones and pearls. So it really is a sort of like perfect case study for the hand machine sort of debate. It's actually structured around the traditional métiers of the haute couture, so embroidery, featherwork, artificial flowers, lacework, leatherwork and pleating. And there's also a section on tailoring and dressmaking. And these métiers have been in existence really since the 18th century, so it's showing the continuation of that practice. And then within those categories, there's a series of case studies in which the pret-a-porter and the haute couture are juxtaposed side by side to show the sort of, in a way, how those categories are becoming more blurred and ambiguous by the shared sort of practice of the hand and the machine.
One technological advancement that is gaining momentum with designers is 3D printing.
3D printing is really interesting, and it's one of the few examples of extreme technology in the exhibition, mainly because I really feel as if it could be as revolutionary as a sewing machine. I think that in terms of its democratic possibilities, the idea that you could have a machine in your house to 3D print your own dress, exclusive to your body, so it's the perfect fit. It's basically couture without the design sometimes, but I do think it has the potential to really revolutionize fashion.
One designer who embraces 3D printing within her couture work is Iris Van Erpen, whose fantastical and memorable pieces pepper the exhibition's galleries.
I feel really proud. It looks really beautiful, everything together. And it's special to see the different pieces over the different years collected here. to me it's very natural to combine different things in one piece. It's in the end about what I want to create, about the structures, and I really enjoy combining my hand and the machinery work. It's very strong in this exhibition that they don't try to divide it. It's not about one thing or the other thing, it's about how you can combine them to create ultimate beauty.
My biggest surprise about this exhibition is that it's not just about the future. It isn't about extraordinary things that could be made, but extraordinary things that have been made, and that is really incredible.
With this particular exhibition, I sort of really want to put an end to the debate about his fashion art. You know, it's dogged us since the mid-19th century when the couture was established, and I sort of feel we should move on from that. I think that if you walk around the exhibition, I defy anybody not to see this as art. I mean, not all fashion is art, but good fashion is. I think that we should start asking different questions, just move on from that and ask, you know, more deeper questions about fashion at the moment. We're in such a troubling moment in fashion. You know, designers are seen as being dispensable, fashion is seen as being disposable, and I think we should address more serious concerns and just accept the fact that fashion is art.
For her Parisian debut, Chinese couturier Guo Pei brought the beauty of her homeland to the French capital of fashion.
灵感是叫庭院。
The inspiration behind this show is the Chinese courtyard, because a courtyard is a household in China. And I'm Chinese, and it's as if I was walking out of this courtyard, walking in Paris, bringing with me my culture and my country.
也好像是从这里走出来。
When I was at the Met, I already had in mind the show in Paris, and everything went so smoothly from the Met to today. I don't think that today's event is linked to the Met even though, and I think the Met was a turning point in my career, because people started talking about Guo Pei and the media started to pay attention to me.
对于我来讲，那个事件是一个推动。
I think it was very good. I mean, I think it's proper couture made by Le Petit Main in Beijing. I have to say, 10 years ago, I was on the jury of Beijing Fashion Week, and I went and I saw 20, 30 shows, and it was a really great one. And she was fantastic, and I had a chance to go out to dinner with her and her husband and visit their atelier and see the high standard. I think she's evolved. I think the bits of it are very pretty. I mean, I was very happy that there's unquestionably now in Paris a Chinese couturier.
I feel just like a princess in a fairy tale. It's just amazing. And I mean, she did like really great. She's handling the haute couture in Paris. It's her first time and it's just incredible. Look what she did. It's just crazy.
As to the future, I hope that I'll get more and more opportunities to bring my own spirit into the designer's world, and I hope more and more people would appreciate my creations.
当然，我更期望很多人喜欢我的作品。
Paying tribute to The Palace, the legendary Parisian nightclub of the 1970s and 80s, Paul Gaultier turned his haute couture runway show into a decadent disco. While the iconic designer called to mind those unbridled nights out from the past, he offered splendid summer options.
Sophie, she has a very big heart. She's a very generous person. She has respect for every skin tone and for every size. And because of that, we wanted to create a makeup who was very natural, to see a true honesty in every girl. It's to show the power of fashion and the power of individuality when you don't make everybody look exactly the same.
It's about humans. When you look at that word, we see all the beauty of races, and that's what I stand for the love of the humanity. The combination of the fabric, the research of the fabric, the way that I treat fabric, because I bond certain fabrics, they all came from Paris. They're all from old French house of couture lace and velvet. It's very, very refined and beautiful fabric.
Sophie is really at the height of her powers. Technically, she's superb, and creatively, she's just off the charts. You can imagine that a high neck halter and a long knee-length pencil skirt could be as cozy as a pair of pajamas.
I love all my girls who work for me. I mean, they're like family for me. I want them to feel like beautiful. I have all women in mind, all of them. Because as a woman, you know that your body is changing all the time. So one day you're very skinny, one day you became pregnant. Your body is changing all the time. So I don't believe in that thing that, oh, this model is too skinny. Who are we to judge people? Oh, this woman is too curvy. I believe in the woman who look like beautiful and she is who she is.
I don't need to see another show. I'm telling you, it was everything I love: texture, color, silhouette, inspiration. It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Make the people to believe in fashion again, because fashion should make people dream, and we should dream again with that fashion.
Three hours northeast of New York City, the first major exhibition of the exuberant and playful work of 90s design darling Todd Oldham was held at the Rhode Island School of Design Museum.
No, it's a real pleasure and certainly odd to see these things back together all in one room. And it's not put back historically. It's about 10 years of fashion that I rearranged for the exhibition here. And it was really fun to do. It was only been fun, which, you know, business is not always all the way fun, but this was actually all the way fun.
Todd has worked with RISD for a very long time. He's given lectures, he's worked with students, and he received an honorary degree from RISD in 2014. He's just very generous and fascinating to work with on, across all levels of design. The way that he thinks about fashion really starting with the textile. And that makes such a big difference, and that's what I think we found most intriguing about him, and that's what makes, I think, these pieces look as if they could have been made today, because he wasn't necessarily thinking about the most fashionable cut or trick of the day in the 1990s. He was starting with the textiles. He was thinking about artisans and the expertise of others and putting that together with his own wild creativity. And I think that reads just as well today as it did in the 1990s.
When you're working with fashion, textiles are super duper important. You have two things that are either amplified, cut in form or some sort of surface texture or print or pattern. So it's very important. And for a garment, in my eyes, to be complete, they have to marry each other with grace. I'm not a good shopper, so I always wanted to try to make everything. So everything in here was custom for us.
Not only were the clothes fun, but the runway presentations were beyond fun. That there were models skipping literally down the runway, really voguing. And the fashion press was was clapping in the middle. They were laughing. It was really, it's all about fun and the joy of making and the joy of wearing clothes. And that translates. Todd had fun. He loved what he was doing, and I think it's hard not to then love the pieces that came out of that.
I enjoyed making all of these things, so the stories behind them all felt kind of real to me. They were certainly fanciful at times and not always real, but in my head they were. I don't know, I still like the stories. It was nice to revisit the pieces and remember, all the details that led up to them being finished. I made all the patterns myself, and when you're that intimately involved with things, you tend to remember it all.
Also featured in the exhibit, Oldham worked with the 50 students in the textile department on the first new dress he has designed in years.
This incredible volume of a dress was made, all the textiles were made here at RISD by RISD students. The kids were enthusiastic to join us in making this 28-yard piece of fabric that was then fashioned into the skirt after many, many months of re-embroidering it along the way. The fact that it is at the RISD Museum makes me the most happy about the complete experience, because this is a teaching institution that really takes very seriously how creativity changes the world. It's very nice to be a part of that experience, but because I didn't have a lot of opportunities handed to me, I've always sort of made my own. I'm hoping that someone that maybe is confused about what the future has in store can see that you can kind of do anything. What you have to do is do it. That's the thing that will get in your way. If you're not willing to throw yourself down the tracks and basically kill yourself to get things done, you shouldn't do it.
Industry insiders turned the spotlight on menswear at the inaugural New York Men's Fashion Week.
Took a long time to make it happen, and it's an industry effort. Designers, editors, buyers really lobbied for it and supported it, and here we are.
I think that the week in general, everybody's on board. The energy is fantastic. The space is great.
This is a really good first impression and a really great way to start. I think it can grow into something big.
And the highlight of Men's Fashion Week were the rock and roll vibes at John Varvatos.
This show's very rock and roll. A little sprinkle of Keith Richards in the mid-'70s, and these guys from London, the Stones, Led Zeppelin, and Fleetwood Mac, bands like that in around 73 to 75, they were migrating to Southern California. They loved the lifestyle. They loved Laurel Canyon. They loved the music scene. They were turned on by all that was happening in the music scene there. And you saw songs like Wild Horses from the Stones and Led Zeppelin doing Going to California. And they were mellower. They were something that was changing, but they brought their dandiness there. And then they merged it with this bohemian thing that was happening. And you'll see sprinkles of that throughout the show. The message is, be a little daring, push the walls out, and think about your own personal style. And don't get in a rut about it, because it's fun.
I thought it was a good show. I liked it. It was pretty classic, and harking back to days when maybe people put on suits and lapels and stuff to walk around, and I don't mind that. I think it's a nice thing. We should probably look after ourselves. I think there was a lot of really good jackets.
It was amazing. It was my first time I've ever walked for him, so it was super cool.
What do you think of the pose?
I loved it. My two looks were so sick. Yeah, awesome.
I always talk about men's fashion being an evolution, because guys, they're not revolutionary, but it has been a revolution. They care about style and how they present themselves, and it's become, they're girls today.
I'm super honest in that there was no inspiration. I'm just super happy that we have a client, and I just wanted to provide a fall-winter wardrobe for her, and that was pretty much it for me. I really thought about what we did in spring-summer and doing a continuation of that, and staying true to who we are as a brand, and people barely know us, we're brand new, so I wanted to just show her the second half of her year, and I hope that we accomplish that.
Oh, I think it's so beautiful, and I just love watching his silhouettes evolve. And I was describing Brandon earlier, his career is like a burlesque dance. You know, he's going to slowly be showing you what he can do. And the thing is he's very educated in fashion. So he knows everything about making classic fashion, and he also has a mind for the avant-garde and has a strong imagination. So we're just seeing the beginning, and it's just, I'm really proud.
Stayed with the standard suiting. This time I added velvet. I added just a bit of texture. You know, black is my favorite color. So when everyone's sitting down talking about color.
I have to say, these are amazing fabrics. They are strong and they hold the body and they fit in all the right places.
Yeah.
So elegant. Do you know how rare it is to have a designer come out, like this is like his second collection, and have it be this impeccable and polished, and the girls were so beautiful and pulled together, and this is like couture level workmanship too.
I've actually worn his clothes a lot. I go to events and stuff, and I wear a lot of his clothes, like dresses and beautiful like pantsuit with like a fitted coat, like low neckline. And I actually love wearing his clothes on dates. I have worn one dress and my boyfriend went crazy.
The next step for me this week is Oscars, so I'm doing that, which she's nominated for, and I'm excited for. And then after that, you know, one step at a time, we're launching our spring collection in stores, which I'm super excited about. Then, you know, possibly resort. We'll see. Yeah.
Resort!
Yeah.
Congratulations, Brandon!
At Moschino, it was hard to resist Jeremy Scott's infectious sense of humor when it came to the staging of his summer show.
Moschino was just basically a riot. It was hilarious. It's one of the few shows that you go to during Fashion Month, I should say, that where people literally break out into applause and like start cheering and hooting and hollering. It's definitely not your mother's fashion show.
You know, Jeremy Scott is incredibly good at creating visuals for the internet age. You know, that was an immediately Instagrammable show.
It's really just inspired by the idea of making a catwalk car wash. I thought there's never been a car wash catwalk, and I thought this would be so much fun. I thought, but it's too much to do it for a whole show. It's going to get anticlimactic. So I thought, what if I created a construction site and just kind of masked this car wash within it so no one would know, so I could do this unveiling surprise.
You know, he built a car wash. He built a roadway. No runways, roadways.
I think Jeremy always puts on a really good show. It's always really fun. And I think when the car wash kind of like sudsing things like turned on and the bubbles started blowing, it just lifted the mood. You know, it's a really long day that day, you know, Thursday during Milan Fashion Week. To cap it off with just like really pure fun is always really great.
I started thinking about these sophisticated looks and these very chic ladies and these tailleurs and these little suit dresses and, you know, this whole sophisticated look, but then in floral colors with the reflective material. Thinking about, you know, hard hats, but very chic and satin with veils and kind of mixing all these worlds. And then going into this whole idea of the car wash itself, where I, you know, dresses that are like debutante ball gowns that are looking like vintage cars, or the feather dresses that look like the buffing machines for the car, and all that kind of stuff, and just kind of make it fun and exciting.
Moschino. I mean, I'm an absolute fan of Jeremy. He lives that vision. There's nothing apologetic or derivative about what he puts out there. It's what's in his head. It's what inspires him. You never feel like he's compromising.
It's nice to see the models having fun as well. They seem happy to be walking that show. So I think it's going to be an incredibly commercial collection, because people are going to swoop in and buy everything, because it feels very limited, but it's just pure fun, pure Jeremy.
What a triumph. What a way he's turned the label around from it being stuck in this rut to being transformed into this new dialogue about what's going on. So well done, Jeremy, I say.
It feels wonderful. I feel so blessed and feel so touched that what I'm doing is reaching out to people and touching people. For me, my work is to touch people, is to be connected to them. I don't really care about how many things are sold. I don't really care about the new skirt link. I care about touching people's heart. When I see that people are connecting with it and that they're having fun, they're drawing these illustrations of the collection and posting on Instagram and tagging me, and they're having so much love for it. That's, to me, the end goal is having that kind of connection with people.
Urban Zen in New York was the perfect backdrop for the iconic Donna Karan to celebrate with friends and family the launch of her memoir, My Journey, marking her life and legendary career.
There's so many designers working today who owe a debt to Donna, because she really did so much. She's a real pioneer, a real groundbreaker.
You can really understand where she's coming from. To see it all collected in one tome is really special, because you get a sense of her complete story.
It's sort of like my first time being at a book signing and stuff. I didn't think that there was going to be this many people here.
It's been a journey from the minute I was born. When I started to write the book, I decided I wanted to reflect about my whole life. It was happening so fast. There were so many things in my life that I wanted to get down on pencil and paper. So first I wanted to reflect on the past, how I started as a designer, thinking perhaps maybe I could guide some other people who want to be a designer, or certainly what it's like to be a fashion designer. But to realize that there was a whole other life that I had, the love of my daughter, the love of my grandchildren, my sister, and really kind of take them on my journey of what I experienced from a childhood to becoming Donna Karan, because there are so many things that people think, and they go, "You're Donna Karan?" I go, "Yeah, absolutely."
Karan discussed the momentous decision of stepping down from her namesake company that she founded more than 30 years ago.
I had been thinking about it for a good many years, and it got to the point that I was absorbed in what I was doing at Urban Zen. I was traveling around the world, working with artisans, particularly in Haiti, dealing in healthcare matters, dealing in education, and I realized that there's so many hours in the day, and it wasn't fair to any one of the issues that I wasn't giving 100% of my all. So I decided that at that moment in time that I had been thinking about it for years, but finally I said, okay, it's time.
Donna Karan looked to the future.
There's one thing I guarantee: I will have something in store. Urban Zen is definitely in store. I'm still responsible for it. I'm still responsible for the fashion that happens, between all the lifestyle that happens here. I mean, Urban Zen for me is definitely going to be something that I'm going to be concentrating on for quite a number of years.
When you talk about Donna's journey, I mean, we know that from her press releases, she always finishes "to be continued."
We're Alexander Wang, 2016.
Happy anniversary, Alex.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, Alexander.
The whole vibe that Alex wanted was a very real feeling, so it felt like the girl just happened to wear these clothes and she's just come off the street. So we have done maybe 9 or 10 quite, extreme haircuts here.
I actually like it. I don't know. I think I look like Dumb and Dumber, but I actually like that thing, so I'm about it. And then I got my eyebrow, which I also like, so I was like, whatever.
I'm using one product, which is Windblown. It kind of gives it that kind of grittiness, that kind of rock and roll feeling that, is a Wang girl as well.
With a celebrity-packed front row, a film documenting his 10-year career, and a collection focusing on his streetwear roots, Alexander Wang strengthened his rock star status in fashion.
This marks the anniversary of Alexander Wang and how he kind of arrived in our lives. The show was fantastic. All the celebrities come in, Lady Gaga, Nicki Minaj, you name it. It was like a pre-fashion show of all the celebrities and friends of Alexander. Phenomenal collection of really what he does best, capturing the culture that is happening on the street and really marrying street and sportswear.
The collection's always something different, but you always know it's going to be a really upbeat, strong show, which is always fun. It's a fun character to play. I'm wearing a fishnet shirt with a purple bra under it and denim shorts with boxers under it. Kind of grunge, like something I would actually totally wear. It's such a fun show. There's a really great energy backstage and the music is always amazing and it really gets everyone in the mood. So everyone's just really excited for the show. No matter how many seasons you've done, you always look forward to the show, I think.
I think he concentrated his DNA. I think he was one of the early gender benders before we even said the word gender bender, and we talked about androgyny. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I was a tomboy, and so that always spoke to me.
What Alex has in space is energy, and every single part of it. I love that it was a little more slouchy and the Western stuff and the flat shoes and still lots of attitude, but it was a little more low-key, which I like. I think that comes from growing up.
And I have black pants, black t-shirt, and a white jacket. It's a little bit like not normal. So yeah, and flat shoes. I have like new dress and like jacket, sneakers, and hat. It's like like kind of like rap style for me. I think yeah, it's comfortable.
It was really a mix of so many references, but really very street in its essence, which is the essence of Alexander Wang.
You've got to be so grateful for these moments in fashion. We've got some real fashion moments happening in New York, and this is one of them. And I'm so upset I don't get to stay for the party.
The faithful arrived, eager to enter the extraordinary world of Marc Jacobs. He set out to transport guests to his unparalleled universe with a romantically brooding aesthetic.
Oh, I love my look. I love my makeup so much. It really suits my style.
I love it. I think it's so different, and it's really cool. It's kind of pushing the edge, and it's like a little bit of goth, and it's really dope. I really like it.
It's incredible. He's like the showman. He's like, every season's a different idea and a different journey. The collection is like all about exaggerated shapes and these amazing things coming together. And so the set to him, it was more about an idea of clarity, an idea of purity, kind of in this environment, how the girls would look, with the bells ringing and this kind of white, pure environment, almost like a very calming effect.
Marc is one of the few designers left that lives in an alter reality. It's about fantasy. It's about putting on something and escaping to another world, another dimension, And I think that that is what he does so beautifully, is that he takes that alter reality and that fantasy world and he puts it on Earth. And, you know, it's a lot of women also just want to feel like when they're wearing something that they're not themselves anymore. And that is that's something that money can't buy. He stands alone in terms of the pinnacle of the creative geniuses of his time.
Well, when I saw Lady Gaga, I think everybody around was like, is it her, is it not her, is it her, is it not her? And then I sort of felt like they all looked a little bit like Victorian little monsters, especially with those, you know, great shoes and the kind of extreme looks. And I thought it was, it's a very beautiful show. And Marc does what he does so well. It kind of does whatever he wants, and it looks so beautiful and just really poetic. And I thought it had a kind of a little monstrous vibe to it.
I really like my outfit. My outfit is gorgeous, like the heels are amazing. I think it reminds me about Tim Burton movies, you know. I'm wearing a feather jacket, and so, I don't know, a little bit gothic, but at the same time so gentle.
You know, it just felt such classic Marc Jacobs. I mean, it was a little bit kind of Limelight Club Kid Beetlejuice, Wuthering Heights in a weird kind of way. And you know, it was super, super, super dark, but he just does things in such a sweet way. So even when they're super dark, it's dark in a way that like we all feel like we're, 14-year-old girls writing in our journal.
I love his pieces, and they're classics and they last forever, and they're usually like really cute.
Quite a magical show. It was very impressive. It was like a piece of theater, and I think there were like some surprises. It was very unique, a great way to close the New York Fashion Week.